we're close to the green in 2. We're only 40 to 50 yards away from that hole. You struggle your socks off to try and get that ball as close as you can do. Sometimes you overhit it, sometimes you underhit it. You just can't seem to get the distance quite right for those little 40, 50, 60, 70 yard shots. No matter what you try, no matter how hard you practice, you just can't do it. I'm here today to help you get that distance absolutely spot on from what we feel is more of a scoring game. Because if we're pretty good from tee to green, we keep it in play. This is where we make a score by getting these up and down as much as we possibly can do. Before we start, don't forget, please hit that subscribe button. Every Monday, every Friday, there's a new golf lesson concerning every little aspect of the game. From driving through to putting, through to on-course play, there is something for everyone. Now, on these little shots, it's not a full swing, it's not a tiny swing, it's some little grey area in between. But I'm here today to reveal something massive to you. You think the influence should be from the length of the swing. It's not. I'm put my mortgage on that any money in the world that you get this wrong, you get the distance incorrect, purely down to contact, not through trying to feel like we're swinging too long or too short. It's the poor contact that's letting you down when it comes to this distance. You're either catching too much ground or you're catching no ground at all. So it's either completely just flubbing in front of you, barely 10% of the distance you need to cover, or you're thinning it, bellying the golf ball, and it's going an absolute country mile through. So here's the deal. If we get the contact right on these sorts of shots, it just makes it a lot easier. Now the question is, how do we get the contact right? Well, here's a massive secret. We have to make sure the club reaches the ground at the right point. However, don't switch off yet, because we need to know how to get the club at the right point. And this is what we've got to try and feel. So many of you are guilty of this, especially you longer hitters. You want to try and get the ball out there. So what do? You force the golf club through. You pull on the handle and you try and force the big heavy lump of metal through that golf ball. But it just makes it so difficult to get that club down to the ground where it should be. So without trying to force it, what we have to do is the opposite of forcing it. We have to feel when we get to the top of our swing, whether it's a 10-yard shot, 20-yard shot, 30-yard shot, 40-yard shot, whatever it might be. We have to make sure we're letting that golf club simply drop to the ground, and then we turn through. The secret sauce is allowing that big heavy lump of metal just to simply drop to the ground, and we get the club to the ground where it should be by allowing ourselves to turn our chest through. So the problem is, if we just let the club get to the ground, but we just might not allow that club to get to the ground where it should do. So we won't thin it at all. If anything, we might catch it a little bit heavy. But the combination of that feeling, we're just letting that golf club feel almost like a dead weight. It just feels like a dead weight. We're picking that golf club up, we're letting it drop to the ground. And then in combination with letting it drop to the ground, we're just letting our chest turn through. So we're letting that golf club do its work. And you can try this with 2 hands, you can try this with 1 hand. If we just let it drop to that ground, we can get the club to the ground at the same point every single time if we turn our chest through. Try it. And I do this a lot with a lot of people out there. And they try and do it with 1 hand. They're trying to force that club through that ball, and they just can't get that golf club to the ground. But if we just allow ourselves to pick that golf club up as we normally do on the way back, and then just let it drop, every time that club hits that ground, we can't fail. And that's what we ultimately need to do. The only difference here is we're letting the club drop, but then we're turning our chest through, whether it's with 1 hand, whether it's with 2, ultimately, ideally more with 2. We want to let that club drop and turn the chest for quality contact. Because until we get the contact correct and absolutely bang on, it doesn't matter how far back and through we take that club. We ain't going to get the distance correct. We've got to make sure we get that club to the ground at the right point. Instinctively, that ball will pretty much travel the distance it should do. Don't get me wrong, there's still going to be a little bit short, a little bit long, but just not as an expansive, big, wide array of shots as there might have been before for you. Let the club drop, turn the chest, and all is good in the world.